The sky above Earth was no longer its familiar blue. It shimmered with hues of green and gold, fractured by streaks of alien ships descending like meteors. The world had changed overnight, or so it seemed to humanity. In truth, the invasion had been years in the making. The extraterrestrial race known as the Valons had observed Earth for decades, cataloging every detail about human behavior, technology, and society. To them, humans were nothing more than primitive creatures, helpless ants scurrying beneath their colossal shadow. For weeks after their arrival, the Valons broadcasted messages across all forms of communication. They spoke not out of curiosity or diplomacy, but from a position of absolute dominance. Their tone was clinical, devoid of emotion. Humanity was to surrender unconditionally or face annihilation. Resistance, they claimed, would be futile against their superior weaponry and intellect. But humans are stubborn beings, and while many cowered in fear, others refused to bow. In a small coastal town named Havenport, a young man named Alex stood atop the ruins of what was once his family's grocery store. He clutched a makeshift spear fashioned from rebar and duct tape, staring at the horizon where three massive Valon cruisers hovered ominously. His dark hair was matted with sweat, and his clothes bore the stains of ash and blood, but his eyes burned with defiance. Alex wasn't alone. Around him gathered a ragtag group of survivors, farmers, teachers, mechanics, even teenagers who barely knew how to hold a weapon. Yet here they were, ready to fight back despite the odds. Among them was Maya, a former nurse turned field medic, Leo, a grizzled ex-soldier with a limp but a heart full of fire, and Samir, a quiet engineer who had somehow managed to jury-rig a functioning EMP device using parts scavenged from old cars. "They think we're helpless," Alex muttered under his breath, gripping his spear tighter. "Let's show them just how wrong they are." The first skirmish came without warning. A squadron of Valon drones descended upon Havenport, their sleek metallic bodies glinting in the sunlight. Each drone emitted a low hum that sent shivers down spines. But instead of running, Alex and his group stood firm. Using tactics born of desperation and ingenuity, they lured the drones into narrow alleyways where mobility was limited. Then, with precise timing, Samir activated the EMP. The drones froze midair, their systems overloaded. Cheers erupted among the humans as they moved in to destroy the immobilized machines. It was a small victory, but it proved something crucial. Humans could adapt. They could think creatively when faced with overwhelming force. Word of this resistance spread quickly through underground networks. Other towns began organizing similar groups, inspired by Havenport's success. Slowly but surely, humanity started to push back. Meanwhile, aboard the Valon flagship Calith, Commander Rinnock watched the reports come in with growing unease. These humans weren't behaving as expected. According to their data, humans should have crumbled under the psychological weight of an alien invasion. Instead, they fought back with ferocity and cunning. Worse still, their lack of centralized command made them unpredictable. Every attempt to crush one group only seemed to spawn two more. Rhinock's second-in-command, Terran, approached him hesitantly. "Commander, perhaps we underestimated them," she said, her voice tinged with concern. "Their adaptability, it's unlike anything we've encountered before." Rhinock frowned. "Adaptability means nothing without power. Our weapons are far superior. Our soldiers are trained for centuries. They cannot win." "Perhaps not," Terran replied, "but they can delay us. At times, it's a resource we cannot afford to waste." Unbeknownst to the Valons, their invasion of Earth was not merely an act of conquest. It was a desperate bid for survival. Back in their home galaxy, the Valons were losing a war against another species, the Zorathians. The Zorathians were ruthless, relentless, and technologically advanced. The Valons needed new resources, new recruits, and most importantly, new allies. Earth was meant to be a quick acquisition, a stepping stone in their larger conflict. But now, thanks to humanity's unexpected resilience, that plan was unraveling. Weeks turned into months. The battles between humans and Valons grew fiercer and more frequent. Despite their inferior technology, humans found ways to level the playing field. Guerrilla warfare became their specialty. Traps were set in forests and cities alike. Improvised explosives took down entire platoons of Valon troops. Even children contributed, serving as scouts and messengers. One night, during a particularly brutal firefight near the outskirts of Havenport, Alex found himself face to face with a Valon soldier. The creature towered over him, its armored body gleaming under the moonlight. Its elongated limbs ended in razor-sharp claws, and its eyes glowed with an eerie light. For a moment, Alex froze, overwhelmed by the sheer terror of the encounter. Then he remembered something Maya had told him. Fear is natural. Let it fuel you. With a roar, Alex lunged forward, driving his spear into the creature's chest. The Valon let out a guttural cry before collapsing. Breathing heavily, Alex stepped back, realizing he had just killed one of their enemies. It wasn't a machine or a drone, it was a living being, and yet he felt no regret, only resolve. As the war dragged on, both sides suffered heavy losses. Entire cities lay in ruins, their populations decimated. Yet amidst the chaos, a strange bond began to form between humans and Valons. Not all Valons viewed humans as mere pests. Some, like Taryn, saw potential in these resilient creatures. She argued that instead of continuing to fight, the Valons should consider allying with humanity. Her proposal reached Rinnoch, who initially dismissed it outright. However, when news arrived that the Zorathians were closing in on Earth's solar system, Rinnoch realized he had little choice. If the Valons wanted to survive, they needed help, and humans might just be capable of providing it. A tentative truce was called. Representatives from both sides met in a neutral zone, an abandoned stadium outside Havenport. Alex attended alongside Maya, Leo, and Samir, representing humanity. On the other side sat Rinnoch and Taryn, flanked by their elite guards. "Will you not wish to continue this conflict?" Rinnoch began, his voice deep and resonant. "Your species has proven itself formidable, but there is a greater threat looming, one that threatens us all." He explained the situation with the Zorathians, showing holographic projections of their devastating attacks on Valon colonies. When he finished, silence hung heavy in the air. Finally, Alex spoke. "Why should we trust you? You invaded us. You killed our people." Taryn stepped forward. "Because if you don't, none of you will survive. The Zorathians will wipe out everything in their path, including Earth." Leo narrowed his eyes. "And what happens after we defeat them? Will you turn on us again?" "No," Rinnoch replied firmly. "If we win, Earth will remain yours. We seek only safe passage to rebuild our forces." After much deliberation, humanity agreed to the alliance. It wasn't trust that drove their decision, it was necessity. Together, humans and Valons prepared for the battle of their lives. When the Zorathian fleet arrived, the combined forces of humans and Valons launched a coordinated assault. Human ingenuity merged seamlessly with Valon technology, creating weapons and strategies neither side could have developed alone. Alex led a daring mission to infiltrate the Zorathian flagship, while Maya and Samir worked tirelessly to keep wounded soldiers alive. Even Leo, despite his injuries, refused to stay behind, insisting he could still contribute. In the end, it was humanity's spirit that turned the tide. Where logic and strategy failed, raw determination prevailed. Against all odds, the Zorathians were defeated. As the dust settled, Rinnoch addressed the remaining human leaders. "You have earned our respect," he said simply. "We will honor our agreement. Earth belongs to you." Though wary, Alex extended a hand. "Let's hope this is the start of something better." And as the sun rose over a battered but hopeful planet, humanity took its first steps toward a future shaped not by fear, but by courage, and the knowledge that even the smallest among us can change the course of history.